Welcome to one of our rental cabins. I'm in Yachats, Oregon. This is the former garage turned into a playroom. You see the ping pong table behind me. Just to remember right, foosball table, a few other games that we have available here. I was going to do this shave from the downstairs bathroom, but the lighting, because of this one fluorescent like heat lamp and just not have enough adequate lighting in there to begin with, it was kind of just a bad light. And then upstairs in the bathroom up there, my girls are actually up there watching Happy Gilmore. So I've decided to do this down in the playroom. Hopefully the acoustics and the lighting are all right. I want to share with you guys one of the fragrances from this year's Advent calendar. I'm repulsed by this fragrance, but at the same time, I can't help but admire the fragrance. Yule ham. When I first opened it on that 12th day, I haven't used it yet. I have worn the splash on the back of my hand. With all of the Advent fragrances each day, I opened them up and then would immediately put it on the back of my hand and smell it. When I saw that this Yule ham was in there, I was like, "Oh dear Lord, I'm kind of gonna be in for it, right?" It was like already, I read the card first and then opened it up, and upon my first whiff, it was repulsive. It was not at all something that I was expecting. Now, that being said, this was originally first created as a joke type fragrance, a fun type fragrance, where I admire it is that it's another one of these fragrances that to me makes me think that there is not a single fragrance on the planet. It's kind of cold down here, but now I'm getting warm. There's nothing that Doug and Fran cannot create. And I think that this fragrance is kind of a great example of that. I'm going to do a light coating of the Tube 2.0, my go-to pre-shave when I'm away from the house. I got a mirror just below you guys. I have you set up on a bar stool, and then using my tripod that you normally see me use on my outdoor shaves. This will be my first shave while on vacation. There's several different rental cabins that we like to visit. I've never done a video from here. The one video where I shaved Emily, that is also in Yachats, if you've seen that one. That is from a cabin on the south side of town. Yachats is a very small town. One little grocery store, and it's just a little grocery store, the kind of grocery store that you normally don't want to buy from because everything is super expensive. I'm going to be whipping this up with the Omega Mighty Midget. I'll put the numbers right up here, but it's like 0319. They have a number for it. It is a Badger Boar mix. This fragrance, right? Whipping it up in a little cereal bowl because I'm an idiot and I remembered to bring everything except for my shave bowls. So while we're on vacation, I will be taking along some cereal bowls for my shave bowls. So if you've ever smelled a Christmas ham, if you've ever enjoyed a Christmas ham as I do, I love ham. This fragrance smells exactly like a Christmas ham. However, I don't really want to wear ham. At the very end of the video, I'll put a little clip. Luna loves this fragrance. My wife and Emily, they're in the same kind of category as me, that while it smells like ham, it's kind of repulsive. And so I have not shaved with it. I have shaved with most of the Advent fragrances. Again, I've worn all of them, but I have not shaved with this one. So what's really cool about it, with the dry down of the splash, you get the ham right off top, and there's like a maple sugar going on, and as it dries down, I can pick out like what would be well, clove is there, but what I was going to say is, you know how like people put pineapple on the top of their Christmas ham? In the dry down, there's kind of this pineapple-y essence, this citrusy essence to it that reminds me of the pineapple that you would find on your Christmas ham. And little notes of clove come through in the dry down as well. But just right off the top, it smells exactly like a Christmas ham. And then as it dries down, I'm able to pick out different little notes that shine through. The maple fragrance that comes through is not so much like a mapley syrup type sweetness. It is, but it isn't. Have you ever eaten like that gelatin that collects like in the pan, or like when you cook it? The glaze or whatever, right? It's good. It's good stuff, Maynard. This just isn't really ever a fragrance, though, that I would want to wear. So if you have this, I seriously don't expect to ever see it come out. This will probably be the only time I ever shave with it. I'll put a little bit more water in my little rinky-dink rinse bowl over here. I had my brush soaking in it a second ago, so I'll be using that to rinse my Muhle R89, and I have a first use platinum strangelet in it. Let's see if I can set up a little bit more here. I might just use the camera. The mirror is a little low. Let's try this. Getting on my knees for you. Shut up. That's better. So I've been coming to Yachats my entire life. Kind of a family tradition. My mom first started bringing us to a cabin not far from here. Yachats, I think it's fair to say that at least half of the homes here are rentals. It's that kind of town. And we're right in between Florence, Oregon, and Newport, Oregon. And there's this place that we used to go to on Aqua Vista Loop that is right on the rocks. And one of the cool things about Yachats, and if you saw like my Tokyo Rose review or my Lavender Planet review, both of those were from Cape Perpetua, which is only a few miles from here. But that is some very rocky terrain. Oregon has a lot of sandy beaches, like you would think of like California or Miami, right, or wherever, Hawaii. But at the same time, we have pebbly beaches, and then we have areas of the shore, which is one of the reasons why we call it the Oregon coast. And like we don't say we're going to the beach here in Oregon, we say we're going to the coast. And that's because parts of it are beach, but a lot of it is just coastline. And you have, old exposed lava rock and just all these different types of hard rock formations because there's not really any sand. So years ago, I was 13, and like I said, I've been coming to Yachats my entire life. One cabin in particular, the one on Aqua Vista Loop. We haven't been there since my dad was alive and Emily was like 2. So it's been like 13 years since we've actually been to that property. But when I was 13, we went, and my friend Aaron, who has actually since passed away, he was the same age as I was. We met in middle school, junior high. We call it middle school here. 7th grade, I think we met, and hit it right off. Both a couple of redheads. He moved up here from Weed, California. His mom worked in a lumber mill, and that lumber mill closed down there. And that's what brought them up here. And so we became good friends. And typical teenage boys, no fear. We went out exploring. We had a football with us, and so we were playing catch. And for one reason or another, we started playing catch out on the rocks. And I'll put some photos of like the type of terrain that I'm talking about. And so it was low tide when we started our little adventure. And so we're out on the rocks and the tide starts coming in. We're throwing the ball back and forth. And I forget exactly what happened. I think he just slipped. And because one of the things too, of course, the rocks, I'll try and get some good photos of it. The rocks, they get covered in barnacles and mussels, and what isn't covered by barnacles or mussels is just jagged rock. And he fell down into the water, into this hole, into this, low point where there's just high rocks around. And the water's just coming in and beating him down. Water's coming in and beating him down. So I'm running, trying to get to him. He was a ways away. Of course, I had to, take the long way around to get to him. And I get over to him, I get down on my hands and knees. I'm trying to pull him in. And he's just bleeding from everywhere. You can just see the blood running down him because he's trying to climb back up, but the water's smashing him back down. So I'm getting down, laying down on these barnacles, not even thinking about it. Reaching down, grabbing him, pulling him back up. It starts pulling us both in. Long story short, I end up getting him up and out of there, and went back to the cabin. That was the day, though, that I truly learned to respect the Pacific, and never did anything like that again. And it's the kind of experience from my own childhood that I've always tried to remember when dealing with my own kids, just of some of the really stupid things that I've done. I'm going to go rinse real quick and I'll be right back. As a father, with 2 sons, with the youngest son turning 20 in next month in March. So what, February 9th, I believe today is. Yeah, I can't believe my baby boy is about to be 20. And our oldest is just a couple of years older than him. When they were younger, it was easy for me to forget. But then there's different times where my wife reminded me of all the stupid stuff I had done. And that was just since I had met her in college. And of course, she knows all the stories of my youth, at least the good ones. So moral is, if you got young ones at home, just remember all the stupid crap you did. Because looking back, that was definitely one of the dumbest, most riskiest things I've ever done. It's Christmas ham, baby. That's a Yule ham for you. And in case you missed my unboxing or anything else on my Hinoki, I didn't pay for this. Doug and Fran sent me the advent calendar as a gift. And so I want to again thank Doug and Fran. This isn't really a fragrance that's meant to be taken seriously, in my opinion. And just knowing Doug the way that I know him, that I think that he probably feels the same way that I do. That like it smells like a Christmas ham, guys, and that is the magic of it. And how that someone can take different notes and combine them together to create this. Like, I don't know exactly what all he's done. I'll try and put a photo. So the ingredients on the back of this: alcohol, neroli blossom, so that is a flower from the neroli. So alcohol, neroli blossom, hydrosol, essential and fragrance oil. So there's the secret right in there, right? We don't know what the essential oil is, and we don't know what the fragrance oil is. Hedoin, glycerin, aloe vera, benzoin resin, and then I love how they did this with all of the splashes. The very last ingredient says Muppet Absolute, and you got to be a bit of a Muppet to truly like this fragrance, and I'm using that in the way that the Brits would use the term Muppet. And you know, here in America, we think of Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy, but only a Muppet would wear that in public. My wife might make me take a shower. But seriously, like, as much as I'm not too crazy about this fragrance, like wearing it, you have to marvel at least I do, the sheer talent of them being able to create something that smells exactly like a Christmas ham. And this is, again, one of those fragrances that just is a great reminder for me, the true talent that is Douglas and Francis at Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. And the sheer balls, the balls alone to be like, I'm going to create a fragrance that smells like ham. Who says that? Apparently Doug, right? Thanks, Doug. This is a ton of fun fragrance. It's meant to be fun, and that's why, one of the many reasons why I love Phoenix Shaving. They make shaving fun, and that is exactly what this is. I've shared this fragrance with a few different friends and family members that come over, and we have a great time with it. I have a great time sharing with them just a splash of this fragrance. I'm like, here, let me put this on the back of your hand. Most recently, I did that to our son, Lucas, our 19-year-old, who's about to be 20. I want to thank you guys for joining me out here. It's the little big things. Don't be a Muppet. I'll see you guys tomorrow from the great outdoors for a review of a new fragrance. Yeah, I'm hoping to have a great time down here. It's going to be hard not to. So glad. Take care, guys. This isn't the exact location of the story that I was talking about, but this will give you an idea of the story I was talking about earlier in the video when I was talking about how Aaron and I were out playing catch with that football. The area where we were is just a mile or 5 north of where I'm standing, but it is this kind of, it's exactly, you know, very much like this. And where I'm standing now, when the high tide comes in, will very much be full of water, and where I'm standing will be mostly underwater. You can see it literally every day goes up there where my wife and Luna are, which is where you have all that driftwood. I've taught my kids to pay attention during low tide to where things like driftwood are, because that is where the water will be when the tide comes back in. Thanks again for joining me, guys. Luna loves it.